the quarterback circumstance and situation, etc. Now, I threw a little wrinkle into the question. Alabama, the official Twitter account, best quarterback room in the country. They put at Jalen Hurts, at Tua Man. That's their two Twitter handles. Ironically, if you're Mac Jones, are you offended that they didn't include you on that list? Because the fans all seem to be including Mac Jones. But anyway, they just named two. And my question is this, James. Is this the best duo? The top four quarterbacks, the top four teams in the country, my top four teams, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Penn State's one of those teams that has been picked as well. But I don't think they have a quarterback battle, but they do have two pretty good quarterbacks. Those four teams all have a scenario of having one guy who's more of a pro passer and another guy who's more dual threat. If you knew, now it's not who has the best two quarterbacks. It's if you knew they both were going to play, which duo would you take? Would you take Kelly and Lawrence up at Clemson? You know, the starter from Clemson returns this year, but they got their version of Tua in recruiting. And let me tell you how impactful Trevor Lawrence was at Clemson. 3 quarterbacks transferred this spring already from Clemson. Okay, one Hunter Johnson is going to Northwestern. I don't even know where the other 2 guys ended up. Then you have Fromm and Fields at Georgia. Fromm showed that he was legit, and fortunately for Alabama, we can say what we want. Defense did play better, but fortunately for Alabama, I think Kirby and them got conservative in the second half instead of staying aggressive. Didn't use Fromm as much. Fromm had the one big completion in the second half. But Fromm's and Fields. Fields is a dynamic dual threat, true freshman that in the spring game, we talk about what Mac Jones showed. Fields showed a lot. Fields looked better than Fromm in the spring game, okay? And he's a dual threat, number one overall quarterback, number one dual threat guy coming out, et cetera. So if you know they're both going to play, do you take those 2 guys? And then you got Jalen and Tua. Now, Alabama fans, you have to be careful with how you say this. The question was if both had to play. We've had some say, well, Jalen shouldn't play. It's clearly Tua's job. But my question is if they both had to play, because to me that's where you get to the best quarterback that's how you know if you got the best quarterback room. Like the Eagles didn't know how good their backup quarterback was, but they knew they had a legitimate backup guy who had started and played at a high level in Nick Foles when they lost Carson Wentz last year. And they go on to win a Super Bowl. Do you feel that way about Jalen and Tua? All of you Alabama fans who have said, oh, man, Jalen can't win a big game. Well, if Tua goes down in game 14, if you got the best quarterback room in the country, Jalen wins game 15. But you've said he can't. Well, can he? And then, of course, Haskins and Martell up at Ohio State. So that's the poll question out there today. Which one, if you knew that both guys had to play, which one of those guys do you think, or if you had to take one, which one would you take? Now, here's an interesting stat. I don't know if you get a chance to go out to AL.com. Michael Casagrande had an article, and the title of it is The Tricky Dynamics of Keeping Alabama QBs from Transferring. Well, it's not just Alabama QBs. It's everywhere. But listen to this statistic, James. 3 quarterbacks signed in the Nick Saban era have actually finished their eligibility at Alabama. 3 have finished their eligibility, meaning that every single quarterback that has played at Alabama thus far has transferred. Who's those 3?
I know one's A.J. McCarron.
Jake Coker. and Blake Sims. That's it. All the other guys have transferred.
And by the way, GMAC, folks, was originally signed by Mike Shula.
Right. If so people may be going, well, GMAC graduated. No, I said signed by Saban. But what was interesting is Saban seems to do better with the low-end quarterbacks, James, than he does the high-end. Okay? I'm going to give you a little bit here. John Parker Wilson, number 487. That was his recruiting ranking. Overall player, 487. Greg McElroy, 348. Blake Sims, 305. Jake Coker, 511. Jalen Hurts, 192. A.J. McCarron is the only top 100 player to start and play consistently at quarterback for Alabama. Here's the other guys that Nick Saban has signed with high rankings. Blake Barnett, the number 6 player. Phillip Sims, the number 31 quarterback. Number 31 player. Cooper Bateman, 81. David Cornwell, 82. Star Jackson, 197. And then the other guys, if you're trying to figure out who all the guys I was talking about that have transferred, these are the guys that make into that category. Philip Eli, Alec Morris, Parker McLeod, 553, 578, and 925. So, but all of the guys that he signed, he signed 5 guys in the top 100. Phillip Sims, Blake Barnett, Cooper Bateman, and David Cornwell are his top 100 players. Does that bode well for Tua? No, I'm just kidding. But Jalen is if you go with records, if you go with what happened, which is crazy, is that not what does that communicate that tells you what Nick Saban looked for in my opinion, James, that tells me what Nick Saban looks for in a quarterback.
I'm looking outside the temporary window right now. I think the Tua mob is already here to come see you.
You think so?
Yes.
So once again, if you're just now tuning in, Nick Saban has not had great success with top-ranked quarterbacks. Of all the quarterbacks that he's had that's highly ranked, A.J. McCarron is the only top 100 player, and he was number 87. Phillip Sims, Blake Barnett, Cooper Bateman, what was the other one? David Cornwell, the other top 100 guys, all have failed. The other guys he's had, Jalen Hurts is 192. Mac Jones is where was Mac Jones at in that list? He was way down on that list. I don't have his number in here, but he was not a top tier guy. Tua, the only one remaining. None of them. Think about that for a second, James. With the exception of A.J. McCarron, Jake Coker, and Blake Sims, every quarterback that Nick Saban has signed has transferred with eligibility. And now you have 3 guys on the roster right now. If someone was betting, if you were a betting person, James, out of the 3 quarterbacks that we had the conversation around, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and Mac Jones, how many of those guys do you think end their career at Alabama?
1. And to me, if I had to put money on that stock market right now, among those 3 to finish, it would be Tua, because first off, I think Jalen's going to be here the entire year, but I do see him exploring his options after the season, and I just don't see Mac Jones really getting that opportunity right now to really be able to have a legitimate opportunity to control those reins as far as the starting quarterback, especially with the other quarterbacks that are coming in behind him.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and Mac Jones is going to be sandwiched between, the Tagovailoa brothers, Tyson, and Jalen. If Jalen stays, he still has legitimate playing time. So if you really look right now at if you look at Mac Jones, Jalen. You got the Barker kid coming in. You have the Hunter kid. I think is whatever the kid. I don't even know the kid we signed from Arkansas. You're looking once again at that's going to be 5 guys that are either preferred walk-on or scholarship on campus next year, James. And all 5, I mean, only one of those 5 will probably finish their career at Alabama. And then of the 2 guys coming in behind them, probably only one of them is going to finish. So I think that trend is going to continue. Kevin Smith saying I think Jalen and Mac Jones are going to leave at the end of the year, possibly even before.